Hello and welcome to Pantheon News. I'm so excited to be going over these stories with you. I've got three very interesting topics that I want to cover, from the Try Guys to Rachel Smythe's new story, as well as the interesting reveals that we're finding out about Webtoons and the future of the company from San Diego ComicCon. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. I don't want to delay any further. And as always, you can pause to read this, but there is a quick disclaimer. Please remember that within any videos that we do, the information, it's researched. However, it can include my opinions, and so I want you to be able to take everything with a grain of salt. If you would like to see where we took the information from, there are links in the description below, and you can check out the articles for yourself. So with that, let's look at our first story, and it is all about the Try Guys and Webtoon collab. And oh boy, do I have some thoughts on this. So I just want to say, for all of you who are here right now, the crazy thing about this was I was streaming for 20 minutes and the mic was not plugged up. So basically I have started over, but that's not the point. The thing is, I wanted to do a live reading of the comic with you all so that we could both experience it together for the first time. And I already read the first episode because within that 20 minutes I was y'all are not able to hear me. So I'm so sorry about that. Super interesting comic. It was kind of fun. I felt the vibe for it. Shay said that was cute. You said it's funny because it looks like a gag. Yeah, I think it was definitely giving a gag the whole time. I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of the comic. I thought it was fun. And I feel like it really shows an artist who knows their craft really well can make almost any idea really shine. And I feel like Valerie and Shin really did they did the thing. So I thought that was awesome. Also, I wanted to try something a little different and actually read the comic with you guys. I thought that would be, pretty good for the story. So I watched the video. How was it? The video was okay. I don't know necessarily what I got out of it, and I was trying to figure out, I should have watched some more Try Guys video to be is this what a Try Guys video is like? Because it kind of just seemed like they were having a good time hanging out. There was a lot of fun moments, and it just looked like they enjoyed the process of making a webtoon in one day. So this person right here, the lady that you're seeing with her praying hand emoji, she was listening to them explain the idea, the concept for it, and the whole time I couldn't tell if she was just this is deranged, or if she was trying not to bust out laughing on camera, because it was very much giving mind map, murder board, mind palace sort of thing, where it's you'll get it if you get it, and if you don't, you don't. And I felt she was I don't get it, but if you guys feel your fans will rock with this, then go ahead. That's really what I enjoyed a lot. And I really liked the Kissback creator being there. I think her name is Ingrid. I can never remember her name. But I felt she was also a big support to them, a big help. She really helped them figure out a lot of different points. And I feel it just made the story really shine. For a 3-episode story, I thought that was pretty good. Droid said, I feel it could be cute for their fans, but it could isolate people who don't know much about the Try Guys. Oh, yeah. I definitely agree with that 100%. I think there was a lot of references in there that I was just I'm not getting this. I don't get it. So I hope that their fans really enjoyed it. I did understand the story, but there were moments of it that I feel didn't hit because I'm not a fan. So it's just one of those things. The results. Was the collab successful? I feel like there's nothing to indicate necessarily. So I scrolled through the comments on Webtoons, I scrolled through the comments on YouTube, and I don't necessarily see if they like transitioned for each other into like follows, like people from YouTube going to Webtoons and people from Webtoons going to YouTube for Try Guys. Like Try Guys has so many followers already. I wonder what the incentive for them was besides money. Like if was money the only incentive? Because I feel like Webtoons paid them. Like Try Guys is big enough where I don't think they would have done something like this without getting paid, but they also could have just wanted to do the experience. Like one day of filming content isn't necessarily going to put them out from any sort of ideas, and it does kind of help them make a new relationship with Webtoons, who could be a potential big player, and it's now, you know, being released as a public company soon in the US. So, I mean, there could be a lot of upsides for them and why they wanted to do it. And they kind of seem like the type of guys from that one video that I watched, because I've never watched any videos of theirs. I've watched videos about them where I feel like it definitely gave a lot of interesting perspectives about just like them as a group. So who knows? I mean, yeah, RU says content. Definitely. I don't know. I just wonder if like I could see on Webtoon side, they were like, ooh, maybe we're going to get some people from this. But for their side, besides content and money, I don't necessarily see any reasons why they would do it besides wanting to make a Webtoon. So I guess only time will tell if the results turned out anything other than the fans of them really enjoying it. Because even on Reddit, which I want to say the Reddit article that I linked, all of it was pretty much positive. A lot of people enjoyed it, and most people talked about the references, which I was just like, okay, I'm not a long-term fan. And in the video, Try Guys talked about how they're 10 years old. I'm like, oh my good grief, 10 years of content? I'm sure there's a lot of inside jokes. Could you imagine? Should they do this again? I think Webtoons could do a similar concept with other creators. With the Try Guys, not necessarily, especially if it didn't result in any sort of benefits towards them. I think that it kind of peaked here because like the video didn't necessarily go viral. I don't think the Webtoon went viral, so I don't necessarily see any reason for them to make any more episodes or make any more videos on their experience with Webtoon. They could, but I guess right now, from the limited amount of information that I have, I don't necessarily see a reason to. Okay, and as promised, there she is. That is Cindy Shortleg, who has rabies. And oh my god, the entire video was worth this one scene. When he started to show us this character, I was like, no. He was like, am I gonna get canceled for this? I was like, probably. Like, this is deranged. Like, who comes up with ideas like this? So anyway, what we can learn from Try Guys. So here's the thing. I feel like creators are so stuck on like attaching themselves to a platform, attaching themselves to like something very tangible that's outside of themselves. And I think it's really important for any creator to focus on, yes, take advantage of any opportunities that you come across, but also build your own brand. Like, I would love for people to recognize me for not just like, if I was an author, not just being an author, not just being a YouTuber, but just being a talented brand that people want to work with. Like, people would be like, I love Apollo because all of his stuff is amazing. Or I want to work with Apollo because he's so much fun. Like I want to be more than just the work that I create, and I want my brand to be able to stand on its own. Like, I don't want people to just be like, oh yeah, that Webtoon creator or that YouTuber. Like, I want people to really, you know, see the brand, recognize the brand, and understand that this brand is beneficial to you in some capacity. And I think that's where a lot of creators don't just attach yourself to Webtoon and disappear. Like, remember, like, you need to build yourself. Like, if you want to be a creative and you want to, you know, continue to work on art, work on stories or something like that for the rest of your life, like, a company could go under at any time. And then what do? Like, you have to start all over. So I feel like it's so important to start building that brand, building that, you know, fan creator loyalty, where you can really help yourself in the long run. Like, you're not just like relying on an outside source. Like, you have multiple revenue streams. Like, you're doing the business thing is what I'm saying. So building your own brand is so important. Janisha, hello. Thank you for joining. So then here's the other thing, looking for opportunities. Again, I did not necessarily understand why Try Guys did this collab with Webtoons. I mean, RU talked about it being, you know, extra content, something different, something new, something fresh, possibly. But I also think, like, you know, this is a perfect opportunity for them to get with a pretty big company, get on their good side, be able to have now, you know, connections and sources there for any potential things they might want to do in the future. Maybe they really like vibed really well with Shin, and Shin was like, oh, I would love to do some art for you guys in the future. Or, you know, now they have that contact where maybe they want Shin to do art for them in the future, and they can, you know, pave the way to allowing that to be incorporated in their content. So I think, like, it just goes to show that sometimes I think we as creators have a hyperfixation on a very particular goal, and like other goals could be out there or could be obtainable for us, but we're so fixated on one thing that we miss certain opportunities. So I think it's important to look for other opportunities in addition to the opportunities that you already have. So, like, yeah, you want to be a Webtoon original? Amazing. Go ahead, you know, shoot your shot, get out there, do all that you can, but don't ignore the fact that you could be, you know, a published author on Amazon, or you could be a full-time creator at Tapas or another webcomic company, or like some of these new startup companies. Hey, get in on the ground level and see if, like, you know, you can meet them, talk to them, talk about what you want to do in the future. Who knows? Like, sending them an email while they're still a startup could be like the launch of your career. Like, they could, you know, love your stories so much, love your vision for the future so much that they end up making you like their flagship series. And here's the thing. Sometimes some of the mediocre stories, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm just saying, like, not every story is going to be like a pinnacle story. You're not going to have like a Pride and Prejudice, a Great Gatsby born every day. So that's what I mean by that. So, you know, sometimes like you might wonder, hey, why is this story that's not that great being released? Well, it could be because they have a good relationship with the publishing house, with the company that they're working with, and the company believes in them, and the company wants to see them continue to thrive. And I think sometimes creators miss the human aspect of being in business. Like, yes, it should just go to the best creator, but then let's say that the best creator is there and they are taking up all the space. So like every time a new contract comes up, they're the ones getting it. Every time something new happens, they're the ones making it happen. So there's a balance to things. Like, it isn't always necessarily about who's the best at what, because we're going to talk about Rachel here in a minute, but like Rachel won like the Eisner Award 3 years in a row. Could they have given it to other people? Sure, but they felt like Rachel deserved it. And I'm not necessarily saying that's because of her networking or whatever. Like, you know, she has a massive fan base. She deserves it. But she also won the Harvey Award, and she also won the Ringo Award. She's like critically acclaimed. So my point with all of this is, like, there are opportunities out there that all you need to do is form a human connection with that person. And that's why I always talk about networking with other creators, networking with companies. Like, hey, maybe I should reach out to like a big story book talker or something and be like, let's do a, you know, read Webtoon together episode or something, to like just, you know, continue to look for opportunities to network and, you know, create moments for myself. And I just feel like the more creators can do that, the better. All right, let's move on to our next story. And of course, we're talking about Rachel Smythe. All right. So Rachel has a new series coming out. And I really want to look at this article that she covers with Cosmopolitan. And so I want for us to just, pause the PowerPoint here. And we're just going to pull up the slideshow. And so the title of this article with Cosmopolitan, which also Rachel has connection there, because in the article it brings out that she reached out to them. And that's what I'm saying about like gaining a level of power within your career. Like if you have a source somewhere and you've like become like, friends or business acquaintances, or, you both have a mutual interest for growing your business, or both benefit for some reason, like your business meshes together, like you create a source where you can go to and be like, hey, I want to give you an exclusive. And they're like, oh my God, Rachel Smythe wants to give me an exclusive. Yes. Please come and give your exclusive to us. And so Rachel reached out to Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan is huge. So it's just so cool to see like how much power she's created for herself as a creator. So the article is entitled Exclusive, Rachel Smythe reveals 2 new projects and what's next after the end of Lore Olympus. The author and illustrator sat down with us to talk about her new creative process and starting a new era in both her life and career. Also, I really like this photo of her. Like, it's very professional, and it gives me like a Rogue vibe, like Rogue from X-Men. Like, I like that look for her. Like, it looks really good. It's been a few months for Rachel Smythe, the creator of Lore Olympus. After ending her hit Webtoon series that ran for over 6 years, the sky was truly the limit. And I will say, I feel like Rachel probably in the comics industry, and maybe even beyond that, because she's so critically acclaimed, because she has so much going for her. Like, she was on the New York Times bestselling list multiple times, Amazon list, like all of that stuff. Like, she had a lot going on for her. There was, of course, the time to sit down and relax. But then came the ideas that have been hibernating for a while. It reminds me a lot of when I first started making comics, when I quit my full-time job, and I was like, how do I manage my time? I think this is really common for many people who finish a big project. You kind of put so many things on your plate. Rachel told Cosmopolitan in an exclusive interview. There was a thought of learning how to 3D model, then several other hobbies, and then possibly nothing, which is what Rachel Smythe would be doing nowadays if she wasn't Rachel Smythe. So when the Eisner winning creator asked Cosmopolitan for a chat to reveal their next big news, we couldn't pass it up. So this is what I was talking about. It says, when the creator asked Cosmopolitan, she reached out to them. She made it happen. And the news was so hush-hush that even we didn't find out what it was until we sat down just a few short days prior over Zoom. And it was definitely more than we or any other fan were expecting. I have 2 graphic novels coming out with Inklore, Rachel said. What? Not Webtoons? You're doing something with Inklore? I am shocked. 2 brand new babies. Shay said, you gotta make these things work in your favor. You might get famous or blow up for something small, but ride that fame/recognition into something that's profitable. 100%. Like, I was really worried that she was going to lose a little bit of her fame if she didn't come out with something soon. Because, like, people forget very quickly certain things. Like, you might have some diehards, but as far as the masses as a whole, like, if you're not constantly feeding me, constantly reminding me that you exist, like, I'm not going to remember who you are or why I should be interested in anything that you're doing. So the Random House imprint will be working with Rachel on 2 new standalone graphic novels. Their release dates are still to be announced, but that doesn't mean we don't have any official info to share. So the first series, this one here, it says is Eleanor's Deathbed, an original graphic novel following a socially isolated mortician apprentice whose quiet life is turned upside down after an unlikely friendship with death entangles her in the politics of the gods. Very, very on brand for her. I like it. And the second will be Patience in the Dark, about a grieving psychiatrist summoned home by her estranged family, whose old secrets and new patients are not of this realm. So this one seems a little bit out of Rachel's wheelhouse, but I mean, we only have one series to base Rachel's like creativity or creator style on, which is Lore Olympus. And see, this is what's so interesting about webcomics. I feel like you can get stuck in a certain vibe, but it's because webcomics take so long to tell. It took her 6 years to finish Lore Olympus. And that's slightly insane because, like, thinking about it, that's all she's known for. And, like, with authors, a lot of authors might release one book a year. So if she was an author, she would have been on her 6th book and we kind of would have known her vibe by now. But since she was stuck telling the Lore Olympus story, I feel like that's all we know her by. And so I'm very interested to read the second one, especially. And especially because I wasn't necessarily a huge Webtoon fan. I'm sorry, or not Webtoon, Lore Olympus fan. Like, I tried really hard to get into it because I really, really like Rachel as a businesswoman. And I really like her art style too. Janisha said she has a graphic design background, so she knows how to market herself and probably how to make / compromise on contracts. Yeah, that's really important to learn. Like, you as a business person, if you need to learn anything, you need to learn how to compromise. Like, what is your line? Because if you go into meetings without understanding what your line is beforehand, then likely you're going to be the one who gets screwed over. Droid said, I wonder if there's a reason she isn't working with Webtoon. I'm very interested about that, and I feel like some of the Cosmopolitan article reveals some of it, but I also feel like not completely, because I kind of think she could have done a short story with Webtoons that could have, like, if she didn't want to get stuck into another 6-year series. So I'm like, I feel like that could have possibly been it, but she could have done the short story. So maybe Webtoons was like, we're not paying you. And I don't want to say that, but a lot of times some things do boil down to money. Like, if you're not going to pay me enough for it, then I don't want to put my body, put my stress levels through making a weekly series for you. Shay said, I think this will be aimed at older audiences. I think so. I'd be very interested in this one. I think this one will probably target Eleanor's Death, will target like her main audience that she's already cultivated. But we have to remember that her audience is growing and they've already gotten the Lore Olympus story. And so, you know, let's say they started a story when they were 12. That means like they're 18 now. So she might make something that fits like a more college, young adult vibe. But we'll just have to see. Because I don't think like a young person that's grown up with Lore Olympus would necessarily want to read the same story again. In the same wheelhouse, yes. But maybe just slightly more mature. Janisa said she has outgrown Webtoon. I mean, I don't know. Well, maybe. I think she might come back, depending. Like, Webtoons might be like, please come back. Just write the episodes. We'll put you down as the writer. And we'll find an artist for it. Shay said, I'm sure Webtoon owns most of Lore, so she probably will have more control over these stories. So that's the thing about Rachel's contract. I don't think that, like, Rachel has been a really smart businesswoman about everything. Like, she's one of the few that kind of got out of the Webtoon scroll deals. Like, she was able to make her own deals and get her own printing company. Like, she's been really smart about a lot of things. Like, she lined up the was it an anime or a live action? Like, she's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes for Lore Olympus, and I don't think that she was easily swayed to just give them full control or give them a large percentage of Lore Olympus. Like, from what I understand, she has a really good contract, or she had a really good contract for Lore Olympus. Uh, Droid said, and there's so much pressure with Webtoon. Doing a standalone graphic novel might give her more freedom. Yes, yes. Okay, so let's continue. And you better believe that we had dozens of more questions after this, so we had to talk to Rachel some more about these two projects, starting completely anew for the first time in years and trying out a new kind of process. Tell us more about these new titles. The two new books, I'd say, they're sort of siblings but far apart. Eleanor's Deathbed will feel a bit more familiar to Lore Olympus in terms of tone, but obviously there'll be a lot of new things in there. People will be like, I recognize this work, and it will feel both new and old. And the second one is a bit more contemporary and is a bit more serious in tone. So yeah, that's what I thought. Like, when she mentioned the gods sort of thing in that description, I was like, this is for the lore girlies. Like, Lore Olympus fans will eat that up. Was it difficult knowing what you wanted to do next, or did you already have ideas as you were going into this new period in your career? A little from column A and a little from column B. Most writers do have like tens of billions of stories that they think about all the time. I think in picking a story, it is hard, especially coming off Lore Olympus. You're like, do I want more of the same or something completely different? And depending on how the follow up story goes, it's either she made a terrible choice or an awesome choice. And so this is why I think she's doing the graphic novels and she's releasing two. I think it's going to be like a test to market. What I'm thinking is she's going to see like if her style of writing is strong enough for the market where she can tell any type of story and her fans will eat up whatever she creates, or if they're only there for Lore Olympus and she has to build a new type of following for that demographic. So I think like what she's doing is kind of smart because she's announcing both at the same time, so her fans will know like, okay, these two series are coming out. So even if she releases one, fans might kind of, be willing to wait for the next series since it was already announced and it sounds interesting to them. Number one was that it should have things that do feel familiar to readers, but it should also be fresh. I was reading A Guest in the House by Emily Carroll, a graphic novel that is roughly 250 pages, and I was like, this is roughly the size of Lore Olympus printed novel, and it is one singular story. I told myself that I have to learn to streamline what I'm doing. I'm really excited, honestly, to take what I've learned from my experiences of working on such a big story and really fine-tuning it and applying it to making it really succinct. Picture of Rachel. All of her pictures, like, she knows her angles. I don't know if that's like a professional picture or what, but girly is slaying. And also, it's a completely process too. You're going from having to plan and update weekly to now having to finish product before the public really sees it. The end product is somewhat the same in the sense that it's a comic, but in terms of production, it is very different animal for sure. I'm really interested in exploring the other side of the coin, which is we want it all at once, and here it is. I'm looking forward to writing for this sort of audience. How has the editing process been? Has that been different? I don't think so. It's still very early days, so it is a bit tricky to do a compare and contrast at this point, but it is a bit more leisurely in terms of discussion and brainstorming and structure. There's time to incubate. Yeah, see, when you're writing the webtoon with the weekly format, I feel like you really don't get time to like sit on ideas to really make sure that it makes sense for the story or makes sense for the plot. So I feel like this is probably like I just feel like that's helpful to any creator. Like unless you go in with everything fully done already before you even start, I think that it's really hard to like make any adjustments or corrections or like make sure the continuity is done really well. So I think she probably is really going to like this form of storytelling because I think any writer would. If you have time to sit and really focus on fleshing out parts of your story that could be confusing or need more explanation or exposition, and figuring out a way to do that without it coming across as exposition or coming across as too complicated, any creator would love that. When we talked about the end of Lore Olympus, you were pretty honest about what a toll a project like that took on you. I'm sure this pacing has helped in a lot of different ways, physically, mentally, and creatively. She said, I do feel like that is correct, and I still agree that when I was getting to the end of Lore Olympus, I physically felt like I could keep up this momentum. I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm in my late 30s and I will be turning 40 in a couple of years, because age is just whatever you make of it. But I do not have the bounce back like I once had. Recovery time is longer when you work for long stretches of time. Yeah, I feel like the webtoon process is hard on anyone's body. Like mangaka, it's hard on them having to serialize weekly. So I feel like it's just rough all around. But part of the excitement is getting the chance to start completely anew, which is also something that you haven't experienced for a while. I know, starting a new story is great. There's a lot of breathing room when you first start a story as opposed to when you end one. It's daunting, but it's also very fun. Right now, I'm just in the process of world building, so it's very early days, especially for Eleanor's deathbed being the first one. I've been trying to hunker down and work on what the themes will be and what I'm trying to say with it. It is a romance, but what else could it be? What can we do for people that will pull them in and make them excited and make them feel seen? So this is also a very fun prospect of it. So this is what I was talking about. Rachel really knows the audience that she has. She knows what people are interested in. And I don't necessarily think that she's just making a romance story just because, you know, she knows that romance sells or that it's a popular genre. I do think she sincerely enjoys writing romance, especially from all of the interviews I've seen of her and all of the articles she's released. I definitely think that she wants to tell romance stories. But what I will say is she does know that part of being able to tell a story does involve the audience. So she says, what can we do for people that will pull them in? So she already knows from the beginning, like, she's the Lore Olympus creator. She's known for writing, you know, an epic romance. Like, this is what her fans will want. And then she has here what's going to make them excited. So they've already experienced Lore Olympus. She doesn't want to necessarily make another Lore Olympus. She wants to make something for her fans that they're going to be excited about. And then she talks about making them feel seen. So a lot of people talked about the themes from Lore Olympus, how, you know, they help them and whatnot. So I feel like Rachel's going to have something else impactful that she's going to try and convey to her audience that's going to touch them on a deeper level, that maybe somebody who hasn't experienced that sort of trauma or that sort of life will be able to really understand. So hopefully it'll be able to help people connect like they did in Lore Olympus, because Lore Olympus had people like by the throat. Okay, so colors are also a huge part of your work. Can you share a little bit of what we can expect in that department? I do think that visual language is really important because it makes it recognizable to people. And I do think I'll try to keep in mind when working on a project, no matter what it is. I definitely want to make sure that my work is recognizable, and I don't want to lose out on things that I'm really proud of. I really enjoy the colors, and I thought that was really fun. I've been playing around with it. So this, I think, is really, really, really important. Just because of the fact that Rachel knows that her art style has been recognized. Like, so many people comment about like how beautiful her art style, how whimsical her art style is. Like, they talk about the colors, they talk about, you know, the character design, they talk about how impactful all of that is. And I definitely think as an artist, Rachel knows like what she wants to create, but I think she also wants to be able to experiment a little bit more. And just from this, I feel like she knows that she likes the bright colors, so we can probably expect that in her next story. Janisha said, I feel like she'll be able to delve deeper into the topics she was trying to hit in Lore Olympus, because I feel like some topics got rushed here and there towards the end. Yeah, definitely agree with that. She says, I must admit it feels strange to make regular human characters at this point. I'm very used to vibrant fantasy, so I'm like, What does that mean for me, and where will I go with that? That's still a mystery, and it's certainly part of the process, but it's fun to explore. So, what is your process at the moment? The process is kind of the same. It's me wandering around, listening to a lot of music, and having imaginary conversations with myself. I swing back and forth between drawing the art and writing the stories. Those two things are in conversation with each other. I can think about the characters and write them as much as I like. Sometimes I sit down and do a bunch of drawings to be like, what are they like? Let's put them in these different situations and draw them out. What does that look like to me? What can I get out of that? It's a fun stage because I don't have to commit to anything. And I think that's so much like that's so fun for Rachel to be able to just sit down and figure out like what she wants to do, how she wants to tell her story. Because sometimes like as creators, I think we can get rushed to doing things like we're just trying to produce the content, and so we don't feel like we have time to necessarily like sit and stew in the work. Like we feel like we're always behind. And so I like to hear about her process, how like if she'll like draw her characters together, draw the emotes, draw the expressions, draw like the working out of this situation and whatnot. And so I think that's really cool. Okay, and so of course, any interview like that you have, you want to get like a little personal with the person, like you want to feel connected to them. So their next question was, what songs have you been listening to? And she says, I always feel very exposed every time I think about music that I listen to. I really like the new Billie Eilish album, so I've been listening to that a lot, and I've also been going back to stuff that I listened to as a teenager, which is a lot of, gosh, don't laugh at me, emo music from 2020 or 2005. That's funny because I could totally see it. Like this face listening to emo music like on the bus in high school, I could see it. Okay. So then they say, nope, I can never laugh about that. That's always a vibe. Sometimes I put on like Fall Out Boy and I'm like, was this from this year? And then no, it was like a decade ago. How does it feel to finally get to talk about this? I'm not bad at keeping secrets, but I think about them a lot. I'm like, oh gosh, I just want to openly discuss what I'm doing. Obviously, many people have asked what's next, so it feels good to have it out in the open. We've also still got Rachel Smythe Presents, which is the other Inklore project. I'm really enjoying working and getting to support other people in an element that I really enjoy and cherish. But it means that I don't have to do as much work. I'm not writing the stories, but it's good to have a bridge between projects. And so this is what they're talking about. There's this post, so definitely check out Inklore Books. And so from what I've gathered is it's something that like Rachel's going to like be supporting other creators and highlighting different series that are in the mythology space. I could be like not accurate in that, but basically that's my understanding from this post. Okay, so which gives you a nice point of view as you go into the side of publishing too. I definitely had a very good education in terms of publishing over the past decade, and I have a lot to bring to the table now. I feel odd to say, one day you feel like you don't know anything, and all of a sudden it's like you actually know what you're doing. Is very refreshing. I do think like a lot of people are fish out of water as creators, and so like understanding publishing, understanding like how the business side of things works just helps creators. And I wish there was like a focus for people to be able to just understand these concepts. And it's kind of hard to kind of be like, you need to learn these things because the industry does change and vary depending on like where you are and depending on like the companies and whatnot. But I just wish like there was an easier way for people who wanted to get into that field to have access to that information so that they could actually get into that field. Because I do think Rachel's right here when she says it feels like you don't know anything and then all of a sudden you kind of know everything. So I think that just comes with working in the field. So you're not going to be able to make like the perfect decision every time, but you can definitely take any experiences you come across and grow and learn from them. Would you ever go back to something in a weekly, Candace, or is this it for you as you think about the future? So she's going to go back to doing weekly webtoons. I know that my readers really appreciate that weekly schedule, and that's something that I'll keep in mind. My focus right now is just the printed graphic novels, but never say never. So this is something that I feel like is so important. Like, you never want to close a door in business unless you know for certain that you don't want to walk through that door anymore. Like, don't say things publicly that you're going to regret in business, because people have long memories. And like, you one day saying like you're too good for a company, and then the next day wanting to collab with them, and by next day I mean like in the future, wanting to collab with them, the company's gonna probably say no. Like, they're not gonna be happy about that. And that's why I feel like you have to be careful about like what you say and what you post, because if you want to be in any relation to a particular person or business, then understand that companies now do research on people, like deep dive research, before like they interact with people. So like, you being like, I hate Webtoons, or I hate tapas, or I can't stand, this CEO or that CEO. Like, if that's how you feel, then they're like, we don't want to do business with you. And I feel like Rachel basically, without saying that she would never go back, because I feel like if she really likes graphic novels and she can make tons of money off of it, she might just stick to that. But I feel like she's like, hey, I might go back to that. My fans like it. Yeah, you're based off of the information that you have right now, Rachel, because you were doing a weekly schedule and scrolling format. But if those graphic novels come out and they're producing the same amount of, content and same amount of level of hype and interest from your community and from fans, then graphic novels might be the better way to go. Okay, so what's it like on the other side of it all? It feels good and it feels bad. It's a mix of those things. I definitely felt in my heart that it was time to wrap things up. I've just been restructuring my life and reassessing everything and getting everything done that I've sort of missed out on. I'm moving into a different phase of my life, and a lot of it's very scary. It's kind of like finishing university. You have a set amount of years ahead of you where you have to structure and know what's going on, and then you finish it and you've got the vast expanse in front of you. You go, what do I do now? So that can either be a very scary question or an exciting one. And I'm doing my very best to make it really exciting and positive time where I can be as weird as possible with the stories that I make. Any final words to the fans? Oh my goodness, I'm excited to give them something new. I'm excited to show them what I've been able to make through their support over the years. I don't think I'd be able to do these stories and reach this level of skill without their support. It's gonna take me a while to make this book, but I hope it's like a celebration for them and that they will love seeing my work after all of these years. And so there's no, release date. It's to be announced. So it'll take a minute before Rachel's actually able to release those series. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because I've covered Rachel a lot on the channel. And I feel like seeing her next part of the journey is something that we can all learn from. And we can also, build up hype and interest for. And that's why I feel like even if you don't necessarily have your project out yet, like your webtoon or your novel or your story, you can still build up hype and anticipation for it before actually releasing it. So these are just points that I included that these next few points that I wanted to just make sure I highlighted if I didn't highlight it in the article. So definitely paying attention to Rachel's experience can be beneficial to creators. Even if you don't like her story, you can follow her success. Figure out her success, why she was successful, what did she do, how did she do it, how did she continue to build that success is all really important. Oh, how to pull in your audience. This is so important. I feel like whenever I talk to creators and I ask them like, who's your target audience? They always say like, oh, well, anybody. That is a terrible answer to me. Like, your target audience should be someone specific, and if it happens to pull in the masses, great. Because, like, not like if you're trying to pull to everyone, that means like your marketing is very generic. But if you're going for something very particular, like if you're going for younger people or younger girls, and your research reveals that younger girls love X or younger girls love Z, then it's very important to include those things in your marketing if you can. Which, you know, certain ways people cut trailers now, certain ways people cut well, I don't want to say trailers. What is it? Book summaries? I can't think of what it's called. But certain ways people talk about things, it can really reveal who their target audience is. Certain keywords, certain phrasing, all of that stuff is super, super, super important. And yeah, you could make some stuff for generic appeal, but you want to focus in on that audience, because that audience is what's going to hype it up into the community for the mass audience to see. So like a good example of this is like maybe something in a particular community like book talk or like gym talk, I don't know. Something happens there and people just like love it, and the community blows it up where it reaches the masses. So what I mean by that, like let's say like there was this one video I saw, and it was of this girl going to the gym, and she was just talking about how amazing her experience was there. And like all of the people who go to the gym regularly were like, oh my good grief, this is so nice, so wholesome, we love it. Like we love seeing someone come to the gym who's, you know, not fit bro or whatever, and she's just having a good time and enjoying herself. And so that pushed it out to a bunch of other people because the community that was there was behind it. So like if the community that's there behind it is enjoying it, then you know that other people outside the community will enjoy it, and they'll continue to push it out. It's just like a way to think. And then learn the industry. So there's certain key things that happen in the industry. It could be, you know, a certain theme. It could be certain people that are key players. There could be a lot of like aspects going on in the industry that are really, you know, important for creators to understand. And like knowing if you, for instance, like with the Webtoon contracts, like if you get a contract that's for X amount of money, but you can look at Webtoon's financials and see like, oh my God, you make so much money and you're only offering me this. No, I'm not okay with that. You know that you can counter for much more or something. Like you try to be reasonable in negotiations. And so it's important to understand like the business you want to work with, the people you want to work with in the business. Is important to understand like how certain concepts of the business work. So I'm talking about like awards, I'm talking about other aspects of like the social dynamics and collaborations that you want to get with people. So it's a lot to go on in there. All right, so I think what we can definitely highlight is learning from the future. Like always be looking at your next game plan. Like if you're coming close to ending your series for some reason, go ahead and start like, you know, giving hints, dropping things for people to understand that you're coming out with something new, because like your fan base is there. So if they're really interested in things, it's like I would even probably, if you could have like the cover image, or you could have like some sort of summary at the end of your episode for your next project, I feel like that would be really important, where people would be like, oh, I need to keep my eye on you. I need to follow you so I can see what your next series is. So be thinking of strategic ways to plan out your future career, your future business endeavors, whatever you want to do. I already mentioned this before, but don't hyper focus on a singular opportunity. You never know who wants to support you. You never know what opportunity could be just around the corner from a single email or from like a single interaction with somebody. Oh, timing is really important. I feel like Rachel, she planned out the announcement of this very strategically. She doesn't want people to forget her, and she likely went ahead and mentioned these projects even though they're nowhere near being ready to be released or dropped or anything. But she's like, hey, don't forget me. I've got projects that are coming out. Here's the blurb. Here's the summary. So now you know what it's about, and you know if you want to read it. And then consult with your team. And if you don't have a team, consult with like a business oriented person. Consult with somebody who you find to be very strategic, very logical, that can help you with any sort of business endeavors. And then try and write out different like plans or ideas for your business that you want to obtain and achieve. Like for instance, I include it now on the screen. So whenever we do a live stream, you can see my subscriber goal. So the goal is to get 1,000 followers before the end of the year. And so anybody who looks at the screen can see that. So I think it's so important to have like these goals in mind, like physical things that you want to obtain in mind, and be able to, talk to people about it, be able to strategize and plan to reach the goal. And so I feel like it can be something small, as simple as like letting people know, like, hey, I want to reach this goal by the end of the year. Can you guys assist me? There you go. All right, and then my last thing, never close a business door. So unless you're 100% positive you will never work with these people ever, like obviously if they're doing something illegal, doing something shady, then you want to get out of there immediately. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about like the person pisses you off. Like, okay, is this the best time to like go off on them and be like, I ate with that? Yeah, you might have in that moment. And then 2 years from now, you're like, I'm struggling. Can you help me out? And they're like, I got you. No. So it's one of those things where I feel like it's really, really, really important to hold your tongue sometimes during business. And then, as the great Beyonce says, the best revenge is your paper. So go out there and get your bag, and don't worry about, having to clap back on people depending on the situation, because sometimes people need to be put in their place. But in that circumstance, I'm like, obviously you're like, I'm not working with them. All right, our third story. And this is going to be kind of a quick story, but okay. I feel like the Webtoon panels, whenever they go to conventions, are very revealing about what they want to do. So as you guys know, or if you didn't know, Webtoons recently went to San Diego ComicCon, which is a huge event here in the US. Like, we're talking big companies are there, like Marvel, DC, HBO, any sort of like people in the industry that are really big, like that are on TV, making movies, making big comics. They are all there at this thing. And Webtoons is one of those companies now. They've been going for a while, but I thought it would be nice to look at what their lineup was. And so actually, let me end the slideshow. And I want to pull it up in the web just so that we can look at it really quickly. Because it's kind of hard to necessarily talk about these panels, because I was hoping somebody would release something on these online, but I did not find like anything. So one panel that really stood out was this top one right here. It says the webcomic revolution will be televised. So this to me ultimately indicates like Webtoon wants to move to television. Like TV, Netflix, movies, any of that stuff, like they're really trying to grow in Hollywood. And there's been rumors about it, but I feel like this panel in it of itself kind of like confirms it without a doubt. Like we got some of the SEC documents which confirmed it, which we'll talk about in a future stream, but this in particular really confirms it, because like this is Webtoon basically saying like we're trying to go into TV. And it's with people from Webtoon. So we have the Snail Lords, that creator. We have the president of WAPAD, Webtoon Studios, the president of television for what? The Jim Henson Company, maybe that. The president of television, Skybound Entertainment. Okay, got it. And then this person, Bert, who is a pop culture and entertainment reporter. So like they brought in some highbrow people. And what I mean by that is like, this wasn't just like a little Webtoon panel. Like, no, these are with like other companies the Henson companies, Skybound Entertainment. Like they were like, okay, let's talk about the future of Webtoons and how we're going to make this a reality. These other panels, jokes and jump scares, a conversation with Diablo Cody. I really can't talk about it because there's no information on it. Ah! Digital comics and the fandom multiverse, 10 years of Webtoon US. Can't talk about it, but I wish I was there. Like, Uo-chan was there. I would have loved to have met her. Snail Lords was there. Would have loved to have met him. Like, there's a bunch of... then we have the head of US Webtoon. They were there. Wish I would love to have met him. Like, there's a lot going on. And then they have the AAPI representation in comics and media. So they had a few panels going on. And of course, they were there. They likely had a booth. You could have gone up and talked to Snail Lords and Uo-chan and any of the other creators that had a booth. So I feel like it's hard to really talk about these panels when I can't get any additional information on them, just because the panels sound interesting and I wish I could tell you guys what they were about. So the webcomic revolution will be televised. I already kind of touched on that, but definitely, I think we should be expecting to see many more series getting adaptations within the next 3 to 5 years. Snail Lords. Okay, I don't know what it was, but if you go back and look at the schedule, the link is down below. Snail Lords was featured a lot throughout these panels, so I'm not sure if Webtoons is like, okay, we really want Snail Lords to be our face, which is interesting because I feel like they can be controversial sometimes, but hey, I mean, they are very charming and charismatic, and I think Snail Lords is a really entertaining person. I just feel like they need some PR training. No tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, but truth is truth. And then there was tons of people there from Webtoons. There was tons of creators. There was the head of the US branch. There was the Wattpad president was there. There was a lot of people there. So I feel like this would have been a really nice time to hear these people talk about Webtoons, talk about the future of Webtoons, talk about, what's going on at Webtoons currently. I would have loved to hear just them speak, because you can tell a lot about a person from the way they talk, if they're sincere about it, if they're passionate. I mean, it's not always conveyed, but a lot of times you can, kind of key in okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it would have just been nice to hear these people talk about this journey that they're on with their company, especially with it going public. Okay, so next year, should I go to ComicCon? Would that be fun? Should I do it? Apollo goes to ComicCon and vlog it for you guys? I kind of feel like I want to. I feel like that would be really, really fun. And just make it a whole experience. And I would be there taking notes for the panel so that when we did the news stream, I could actually talk to you guys about what happened there, what the panels were about, what I learned, who I got to meet, if this creator was nice. I could dress up as Apollo. I could style my outfit and everything. I'm so down. I want to give you guys all the tea, all the behind the scenes. I think it would be a lot of fun. I definitely want to start planning it to for real. And I want to think about is it actually logical for me to be able to go and do it? Just because it's in San Diego, so it's gonna be a pretty expensive trip for me. Hotel, I'll either have to fly or drive, which if it's over 6 hours, I'm flying. That's just a rule. I know it will be over 6 hours. So I definitely want to apply to... Not apply. I definitely want to pick up a badge to go next year. So I'm going to look into it because I know badges are probably expensive too. Green suit is a must. Yes, yes, yes. I should just dress up as the Webtoon. I should cosplay as Webtoons and just go around. That would be a great way to start a conversation with Webtoon people. They'd be like, "What the heck is that? A Webtoon? It sure is. Hello." And I'll just put like a laurel wreath on the Webtoon head, and they'll be like, "What the heck is going on?" I'd be like, "That's right." I'm here to put you guys on blast and hold you accountable. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun. All right, so that is the 3 stories for the day. Oh, hey Tate, so glad you could be here. Wear a hat with the little tag that says press on it. Yes, 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 100%. That's exactly what I need to do. So that was the 3 stories of the day. They were very interesting. I feel like there's a lot of different business points we can learn from in these. So I'm excited to see how these stories or these collabs and these other things continue to develop with Webtoons. Like, I think we're seeing a lot of their going public endeavors here now since they're on the stock market. Like, they're really trying to cement themselves. Oh, glad you could be here. So we'll enter our question and comment section. So remember, you can ask me whatever you would like, but that just doesn't mean that I will answer it, depending on how weird it is. Oh, man. You guys missed out. So I was telling everybody earlier during the video. So the first 20 minutes of the video are completely silent. So I'm sorry to anybody who rewatches this before I get a chance to cut it. And it's because, like, I forgot to plug my mic into the computer. So annoying. I am so annoyed about that. And I'm so sorry. I do kind of like the fact that I got a chance to retake the first like 20 minutes, but it is what it is. I feel like that's going to be really detrimental. Like, people are going to be like, "What the heck is this? This is a silent video." I'll be like, "My bad, guys. My bad." I guess I need to make a pinned comment and be like, "Hey, skip to this point. The first 20 minutes are silent because I'm dumb." But while I was there, I was talking, or during the pre-show, I was talking about how excited I am about the series that I'm working on. And so I just can't wait to share it with you guys. Like, I really felt very, like, much like a kindred spirit to Rachel and how she's talking about her new series, how freeing it is. And I really feel that with the current series that I'm working on. Like, I'm getting all the scripts done and I'm very excited about that. I'm working on the character designs, very excited about that. Like, everything is just falling into place so perfectly right now that I'm just like, I'm just here for the vibes, man. I'm just here for the vibes. So it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to update you guys and share some more stuff about my secret project. How far along are you in your series? So let me think. I'm trying not to share too much about it just yet. Like, I want to have a little bit more done, but what I will say is I have the title, I have the logo, I have the main character's design. I've written the first 9 episodes. They're all completely scripted. I'm working on the first illustration, so it'll be used in the advertisement for the series. I have that done. I've written down some TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram ideas of things that I want to do to kind of try and hype the series up beforehand. So all in all, I will say that I'm probably, as far as pre-production goes, I'm about 25 to 30% complete. So I want to complete probably 3 illustrations for advertisement, 1 design drawing for a potential community project that I want to do, and then it's a 30 episode series, so there will be no more than 30. I don't care what happens. Like, if there's more than 30 episodes, something went wrong. Webtoons was like, these files are too big. But other than that, it'll only be 30 episodes. Tell us about your story and characters. So, I'm still keeping it kind of close to the vest, but what I will say, the main concept of the story is a comedy, and I'm kind of like, I'm not afraid about it or scared or anything, but I am kind of like, oh Lord, I'm not that funny. Like I can't write jokes and stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see if people find like any of the story funny or humorous. So that'll be kind of wild. But basically the concept of the story is a character wants to become like hot guy fit. And so he's kind of like a loser in life. And so he decides to join a gym, but he's really afraid to join the gym during the day. Like he feels like people will laugh at him. And so he decides that he wants to join the gym at night or go to the gym at night. So he joins a gym, and this is the only gym that's open in their city after 12 midnight. And the gym is a rundown gym, a hole in the wall. And basically what he doesn't know is that this gym is made only for villains. So he joins a gym for villains and shenanigans ensue. And that's pretty much the main concept. So it's nothing too serious. Like the series doesn't take itself seriously. Like none of it's very serious. It's just like a fun ride. And I'm enjoying it. Like I feel like it's gonna be super ridiculous. Like, and I'm throwing in a bunch of like creative ideas. Like I have a musical episode that I don't know how that's going to work. Like, I don't know the logistics of it, but I'm just like, I feel like this would be, because I feel like in a lot of comedy series, there's like a random musical episode. And so I'm like, would they just be singing out the lines? Is this a song? Like, do I need to indicate like these are rap verses? Like the people are rapping right here. Like, so it's going to be a lot of like interesting stuff. So I will definitely share more about it once I get more of the pre-production done. Once I get, what is it? I say once I get to like 75 to 80% done, I'll start releasing like the logo. I'll start releasing the character designs. And I'll probably make a video. Like, I don't know if you guys know who ABD Illustrations is, but he has this thing called Concept Corner, and I've always wanted to do a video like that since I saw him do it, and it's basically like him drawing and talking about each of the characters for a series, like the main characters for a series that he's creating, and I'm just like, oh, that's such an amazing advertisement for a series, and so I definitely want to do something like that. That probably won't be released. Like, I probably would release a video like that the day of the release of the series, just so that, like, if someone watches the video and is like, oh, that's really cool, at the end of the video, I can be like, and you can read the first 3 episodes right now. So, I'm really excited about that. Lots of fun. Oh, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. I think it'll be a fun read. I will say, writing in this genre has taught me a lot of things. Like, I definitely need to learn to work on improving my dialogue. Like, my dialogue's a little weak just because, like, I think I tend to lean towards particular voices, and having to write characters outside of those voices don't come easily to me. And I think the dialogue sometimes comes across like really cringe. Which I guess is okay for a comedy series, but it's just something to note. It's like, okay, so you're not that good at dialogue. Definitely something you need to study more on. Lots of potential in the premise. Thanks, Tate. I feel like the premise is going to be really fun. Oh, so this is another thing. So I'm going to, in like a lot of the episodes, I'm including random villains. So like, I don't plan for this to ever become a Webtoon original or for me to like sell it or anything. It's literally just a story for fun. And so like, it's going to have like copyrighted characters in it. So like, think like Poison Ivy, think Harley Quinn and Joker. Think Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. Madara from Naruto. Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon. Daenerys from Game of Thrones, although like literally not a villain, but whatever. But I think that'll also be a fun element of the story, is like people will be wondering like what characters in the background are working out in the gym, and like they'll be done in my style, so some of them I think people will have to like scratch their head to figure out a little bit. And I haven't decided if I want to do like name cards so people can be like, oh, that's who that is. So I think that'll also be really fun. In like one scene I have, I knew what villain I wanted immediately, and it was Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls, and I was just like, this is perfect. Comedy gold. Like, I love it. So it's got a lot of fun elements in it that I think people will be like, ooh, what villains are in this episode? I want to see who they are. So it's going to be really interesting. And I'm hoping like I might include some Webtoon villains as well. I haven't fully decided, like right now, unless I have like a strong idea for the villain, I'll just write like villain in background, like scene of villain in background, scene of villain lifting weights, scene of villain doing squats or something like that. Like just so that I know like, okay, I want to include a panel where there's a villain here, or it'll be like our MC, the MC's name is Diego. Diego is working out or drinking a smoothie, and it'll be like add such and such character, add villain in background. So there'll be a lot of like little Easter eggs for people to look through and find. And I'm hoping possibly, depending on how things go, like maybe I'll include some of y'all's villains in the story, just because like unless there's something in particular of like I was saying with the Mojo Jojo thing, unless there's something in particular that I'm like, okay, this is a bit that I want to include, then the villains are kind of open-ended in every episode. Like I do have a scene where Deadpool's in an episode, and like the scene was written for Deadpool. Like it's written in his voice and his tone. So I'm like, I can't change the villain because I'm using Deadpool. So there'll be a lot of like interesting elements to it. And I think the fact that I've taken so much pressure off of myself to just kind of like live and let live, then it'll be a wild ride. Great Webtoon villain, Caesar. Caesar from what Webtoon? What Webtoon? I'm very interested now. Caesar. I'm trying to think. Caesar. Not ringing any bells. So, all right. Well, I am going to start to wrap up here, guys. So if you have any last minute comments, go ahead and type them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and do our creator shout out. And so the creator shout out for this month goes to, the series is entitled Ten of Swords. It is a romance drama series, and the description is, in a dystopian society where there is no middle class, people are owned for the upper class to be used as entertainment purposes. Two lower class men will manage to escape their demise and reinvent themselves from their suffering. So, very interesting series. Definitely click the link in the description below and support the creator. Oh, weird. There's the creator's name. I didn't realize that wasn't on there. Also, remember you can support us on Patreon. I now have a Patreon exclusive for the free tier. So if you haven't joined the Patreon, you could get access to 3 videos right now for free. I cover a lot of interesting topics. So like I talked about my experience at MomoCon this year. I talked recently about a AI tracing situation that's going on. And so those are like very much unfiltered. I try my best to not be too wild, but you completely get like unhinged Apollo in those. And also, if you join as a member, a paid member, you'll get access to the Evil Fitness scripts. Oh no, I released the name. You'll get access to my upcoming Webtoon scripts. They are available right now. There are 8 to read. You'll also be able to see the design for the MC for that series, as well as some other stuff that I'm working on in the background. Droid said, always enjoy your videos. Thanks for always providing good content for a business POV. Oh, thanks so much for being here. So the question to the community is, who should Webtoons collab with next? I definitely want to hear this because I think it would be very, very interesting to know like what you guys want. Tate said, Apollo Unfiltered, can we handle that? Probably not, to be honest. Like it's a little delusional sometimes. Like, you guys do not understand like how much I need to think over something before like just putting my mouth out there, because yeah, that's why I don't always cover things when they first release, because my unhinged brain is probably going to like offend the world. Yes. Pretend you didn't hear it. You didn't hear the title of that webtoon. Good thing not a lot of people watch the news stream, so I think we'll be okay. I kind of just do the news stream because I enjoy it. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys, and I will look forward to catching you all in the next video. Please leave the video a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video.